Hello, my name is Christy Farrell. I'm a graduate assistant athletic trainer here at CRW. Some of you may recognize me from being at your club sports practices, games, and events last year, or from seeing me around the SRC and the athletic training room that we have here. Today, I will be taking you through the importance of hydration training. So thank you for joining me, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so in this training, you will learn what dehydration is, how to know when you are dehydrated, the impact that dehydration has on your body and its associated risks, and how to stay hydrated. So staying hydrated is important for two major things. It is important for preventing heat-related illnesses, and it's important for helping your body systems function like they need to. So one of the reasons why staying hydrated is so important and why it helps prevent heat-related illnesses and helps your body function properly is because our bodies are mostly made of water. So as you can see here, the human body is about 72% water. So you'll commonly hear people say it's like 70 to 80% water. But as you can see, different elements within our bodies need a lot of water. So our lungs are made up of 90% water, our blood 82%, skin 80%, muscles 75, brain 70, and your bones are 22%. So our body needs a lot of water, so we need to keep it hydrated so that we can be happy and healthy. So now we've talked a little bit about, that we need to be hydrated, but when we aren't hydrated, we're dehydrated. So what does that even mean? Dehydration is defined as dehydration occurs when you use or lose more fluid than you take in, and your body doesn't have enough water and other fluids to carry out its normal functions. And hot, humid conditions increase the risk of dehydration. So as you all know, we live and go to college here in North Carolina where it is very hot and humid. So especially during months like August and September, it's really important to make sure you're paying attention to your hydration. So how do you know when you are dehydrated? Dehydration signs and symptoms include headache, weakness, dizziness, muscle cramps, nausea, irritability, decreased performance, increased thirst, dark urine, and significant weight loss after exercise. So these are all signs and symptoms that you may be dehydrated. So if you're experiencing these, you could be dehydrated. Something that's really easy to look out for and helps you understand how hydrated you are is actually the color of your urine. So if you look over here at this chart, you can see that it has numbers and different colors associated with hydration. So if your urine is colored 1 through 3, so pretty light yellow, then you're hydrated, you're good. But if it's looking a little bit darker, like these 4 through 6 shades, then that means that you're dehydrated, so you need to drink more water. And then if you're looking at 7 and 8, that's not good. You're severely dehydrated. And so this can be very dangerous. You especially want to look out for urine that's like the color of sweet tea. That is a major red flag. You need to see a medical professional. Okay, so now we know what dehydration looks like, but how does dehydration impact your body function? So as you can see in this picture right here, the effects of dehydration. Your body temperature increases, so your body has a harder time regulating your temperature. And you have less blood pumping, so your heart is pumping less blood. You have a reduced physical capacity, which means you're not performing as well in sports. And you have a resistance of blood flow in your heart, which can be a problem. Also, 1% dehydration can negatively impact your mood, ability to concentrate, memory, motor coordination. Also, dehydration, as we've already touched on, makes it difficult for your body to regulate its own temperature. So this can lead to overheating, and we'll talk about that more when we discuss heat illnesses. So, dehydration and heat illnesses, how are these linked? Dehydration leads to heat illness in athletes that range from mild to severe, and some heat illnesses are fatal. Also, heat illnesses are preventable, which is why we like to talk about hydration so much. So, heat illnesses. Common heat illnesses are exercise-associated muscle cramps. I'm sure many of you athletes have experienced muscle cramps due to being dehydrated, and they're very uncomfortable. Heat syncope, which is fainting. So some people get overheated essentially, and then they pass out. We athletic trainers are trained to respond to this appropriately. Heat exhaustion. This also occurs, and we'll talk about this more in the next slide. Exertional heat injury and exertional heat stroke. These are listed from mild to severe. So the most mild is muscle cramps, and the most severe is exertional heat stroke. And we will talk more about that in a minute. Okay, so heat exhaustion and heat stroke. They sound similar, but they're actually very different. Heat exhaustion is nothing to joke about, but heat stroke can be fatal. So the signs and symptoms of heat exhaustion are dizziness and fainting, excessive sweating, rapid or weak pulse, nausea or vomiting, cool, pale, clammy skin, and muscle cramps. If you're experiencing this, you need to talk to your athletic trainer or your safety officer, and you need to pull yourself from practice and start to cool down, because heat exhaustion can lead to heat stroke. The signs and symptoms are a throbbing headache, no sweating, a rapid, strong pulse, nausea or vomiting, red, hot, dry skin, and the person might lose consciousness. Heat stroke is the most severe and often fatal heat illness, and it is 100% preventable and treatable. Heat stroke occurs when the body's core temperature reaches 105 degrees. If it is not quickly and properly treated, heat stroke leads to multi-system organ failure and potentially death. Heat stroke is nothing to joke about. It is very important and it is very serious. We athletic trainers are equipped to quickly manage and treat heat stroke. So if we notice the signs and symptoms of heat stroke being exhibited in an athlete while we are covering practice, we will immediately remove that athlete from play. We will check their vitals, and we will take a rectal temperature, which gives us the core temperature, so we can know if they've hit 105 degrees or not. And then we will immediately submerge them in an ice bath, essentially, which cools them down, and we will immediately call 911 so that we can keep this athlete safe and healthy. Any delay in this treatment can lead to significant damages or to death. So this is very serious, but we do have a plan and we are educated on how to treat heat stroke. Also, you might have heard of heat stroke before in the news. Jordan McNair is a famous case. He was a University of Maryland football player who unfortunately did pass from heat stroke when his was not appropriately treated. Okay, so now we've talked about the serious stuff and why we don't want to be dehydrated because it can lead to some very serious consequences. Let's talk about how to stay hydrated. Okay, so the amount of water that you need depends on multiple things: your body size, your metabolism, the weather, how hot and humid it is outside, the food that you eat, and your activity level. But the two main things to consider are the fluid that is required for your general body needs, plus additional fluid that is needed for your training. Okay, so we're going to talk about hydration before, after, and during exercise. So first, hydration before exercise. You want to start your workouts and practices already hydrated. To do this, first you want to drink 16 to 24 fluid ounces of water within 2 hours prior to your training. So what even is 16 to 24 fluid ounces of water? I'll tell you. It is 1 standard hydro flask for my Visco girls out there, or 1 bottle of water or one small Nalgene. So here's an example of a hydro flask for you, and this is what a small Nalgene bottle would look like. You want to drink one of those at least 2 hours before you start training. Second, you want to drink another 7 to 10 fluid ounces of water within 10 to 20 minutes before you start exercising. So maybe when you're on your way to practice or to your workout. So 7 to 10 fluid ounces of water would be about half of a standard hydro flask or half a bottle of water, or maybe about a quarter of an Nalgene because those normally hold more water. Okay, so now during exercise. It is recommended for you to drink about 6 to 12 fluid ounces every 10 to 20 minutes throughout your training. So that means about a fourth or a half of a standard hydro flask or bottled water during your training, about every 10 to 20 minutes. Also remember to drink beyond your thirst. So drink even if you aren't thirsty. It's better to be proactive than reactive in this situation. You want to avoid losing 1% of your body weight while you're working out. I'll touch more on this in the next slide so that you can know how much body weight you may have lost. This is key. Bring a water bottle to practice or to your workout. I have covered a lot of club sports practices, and I've seen a lot of people drinking straight from the water cooler and not bringing a water bottle. That is not going to help you stay hydrated. And now that we're worried about COVID and sharing germs, that is especially not going to happen. So make sure that you bring a water bottle to practice or to your workout. Okay, hydration after exercise. So weighing yourself before and after exercise can help you determine what percentage of water you lost during your workout or practice. This equation can help you figure that out. So remember, you want to avoid losing 1% of your body weight. And you can calculate your body weight change, your body percent change, by taking your pre-exercise body weight subtracted from your post-exercise body weight and then divided by your pre-exercise body weight all times 100, and that will give you the percentage of body weight change that you've had. You should replace every 1% loss in weight with 16 to 24 fluid ounces of water. So about one standard hydro flask, one bottled water, or one small Nalgene for each 1% that was lost. And try to replace this water within 2 hours after working out or practicing. And it should at least be replaced within 6 hours after exercise. I also want you guys to remember that when you're drinking water and working out, we're trying to give these time frames too, because you don't want to chug 20 ounces of water all at one time. That might make you sick, it might make you throw up. So sip on it, try not to do way too much all at once. Okay, so when you're staying hydrated, what are some drinks that you should avoid? You should avoid consuming a drink with more than 8% carbohydrate concentration. This is not recommended because it slows down your fluid absorption. So that's a really fancy way to say what you can't drink. So let's break it down into what specifically that means. So you want to avoid fruit juices, sodas, energy drinks, and carbohydrate gels. So these are examples of carbohydrate gels right here. Because they are high in carbohydrates, they make it difficult for your body to absorb lots of fluid. Now, a little bit more on what not to drink. Drinks with caffeine and carbonation are discouraged during training because they increase your urine output and increase your risk of dehydration. So essentially, caffeine makes you pee more, which makes you more dehydrated. However, caffeine does show some possible positive performance effects. So they have found that drinking caffeine might help your sports performance, but that was specifically related to 1 to 2 6 fluid ounce cups of coffee in 2 hours before training. So that means 2 small cups of coffee, 1 full coffee mug at home, or 1 tall Starbucks coffee. And again, that was 2 hours before practice, not right before. Okay, So now let's talk a little bit about tips and tricks to stay hydrated and how we can make it a little bit easier on ourselves. So I found that it's easier if you drink from a straw. It often encourages you to drink more often, especially if you carry a reusable water bottle around with you throughout the day. So make sure you're carrying your reusable water bottle. Bring it to class and just keep it with you so that you're constantly drinking water. You can add lemon slices or fruit if you don't like the taste of water. You can also use an app like the one that you see here in this picture. Examples of apps that help with encouraging staying hydrated are AloBud, Drink Water Reminder, Plant Nanny, Aqua Alert, and My Water Balance. Those can be found in the Google Play Store or the App Store. And lastly, eat foods with high water concentrations, such as cucumbers, lettuce, and watermelon. Remember that eating foods with high water concentrations is going to help keep you hydrated, but eating these foods does not replace actually drinking water. Something I didn't talk a lot about was drinking something like Gatorade while you're working out. It's certainly not wrong to drink Gatorade, but water is also good. So if you want to drink some Gatorade during or after your workout, that is totally acceptable, but also make sure that you are drinking water. Okay, so as a review, stay hydrated. Make sure that you drink water throughout the day. And remember that dehydration can negatively impact how you are feeling and your sports performance. And big important thing, dehydration can put you at risk for serious heat illness. So make sure you're staying hydrated and taking care of yourself. And lastly, use creative tips or apps to stay hydrated if you struggle with not drinking enough water. Okay, that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for paying close attention. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please email crwathletictraining@ecu.edu. We would love to answer and help you guys however we can. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to seeing you around campus. Bye.